Oh dang, I don't know what happened, but I must have pressed the button and I stopped recording the video. But this animal right here, this little small calf right here, this is the one that I thought was sick. I was actually recording the video for about 5 minutes, and then I don't know what happened, but at a certain point, I guess I pressed the button and it stopped recording. But this is the animal right there that I thought was sick about 3 or 4 days ago. I thought he was sick, and I gave him the shot of Zactran. When I looked at him, he looked like he was kind of sick, and so I gave him a shot of Zactran, and you can tell that he's standing at the bunk eating right now. I gave all the animals food, and these are the 5 animals that came up to eat. And so, the other animals are out there on the grass somewhere, and so that's good. I mean, the small calves are the ones that really need to eat the feed, because, the big animals, they can digest the other, they can digest just about anything. Granted that you're actually giving them something that they can, eat, right? You're not feeding them like a tree bark or brush or something, And so, this animal was the one that I thought was sick, and he's doing okay. I mean, he's at the bunk eating. And so, that one animal that I thought was extremely ill, the animal that was extremely ill, he was going downhill for a very long time. And I gave him, the whole thing about this, the illness that he had was that he was tilting his head. He was slowly declining. It was like he was slowly declining over a very long period of time. The one big difference that I saw in the illness that this animal had compared to the more of a classic illness is that usually when the animals develop a BRD, the BRD usually happens very quickly, all right? Usually you have one animal that's sick, and that animal just within 3 or 5 days is dead, all right? The animal just goes downhill very quickly, and the illness may spread, and, and et cetera, et cetera. That's usually the classic BRD. But this animal, the thing about this animal was that the animal was declining very slowly. He was declining very slowly. He had the head tilt. I gave him a shot of everything under the sun. I had him very well vaccinated as well, and I actually think that maybe a part of the reason why he survived may have been because of the thorough vaccinations that I gave him, which is kind of ironic because I think that when he was getting pushed through the chute, maybe I was working all of the animals by myself, and it was a very stressful situation, and I was getting all the animals in, and I'm pretty sure I stressed them out, and maybe whatever he ended up getting, that was the start of the what I believe was Mycoplasma bovis. I believe that the animal had Mycoplasma bovis. I went on the internet, and I read as much as I must have read like 12-15 published papers on Mycoplasma bovis, because I was getting as much information as I could about the illness so that I could treat the animal. And and I actually gave him the 14-day antibiotic treatment. A lot of these papers, these published scientific papers, when it comes to the treatment of Mycoplasma bovis, they suggest giving the animal the antibiotics over a long period of time, over 14 days. And that is what I did. And actually on day 12, I thought that the animal was going to die. On day 12, I remember sitting there, it was like day 11 or day 12. I was sitting there, I was taking a look at the animal, and I was like, I'm pretty sure this animal's going to die. This animal's going to be dead in about a day or two. And then that was the day that the animal actually started getting better. And so it was about day 11 or 12. The animal was going downhill all the time. He actually stopped eating on about day 9, maybe day 10. And then on day 12, day 11, day 12, I thought he was going to die. And then he started getting better, and he started eating too. And now it's about day 14, day 15. And the animal's actually doing well enough to where I took him out of I took him out of the barn, and I put him in the preconditioning pen. And so now he's in the preconditioning pen. And when he got in the preconditioning pen, he started eating a lot of grass. And so that's very good. He's still kind of tilting his head, but he's feeling a lot better. All right. He's not gasping for air or anything. And so, I'm pretty certain that this animal had Mycoplasma bovis. I'm pretty certain that this animal had Mycoplasma bovis. Just the symptoms and how long it took, and the disease was very slow, and it took a long time. But at the end of the day, he's actually doing okay. And so I figured what I will do. Okay, so what I'm looking at right now is that here in about 3 weeks, I have those. Depending on the weather, I got some rain coming in. It looks like and depending on the weather, the whole idea is that right now, okay, I got 15 animals on my lease property, and I got 4 animals over here that need to go to the sale barn. You know, I got 3 real big ones, and then I got that red heifer that's probably going to hit the scale at about 675. And so, you know, I got 4 animals here that need to go to the sale barn, and then I got 15 animals over on the lease property, and I have 45 animals total, okay? So if I sell 45, or if I have 45 animals, and I sell 19 of the 45 animals, that leaves me with 26 animals, right? That leaves me with 26 animals. So my big plan right now is what I am going to do. What I will do is I will take the money that I make from selling the 19 animals, and I will just put all of that money into paying off my debt. I will just pay off as much debt as the 19 animals will cover. I will pay off that much debt. Okay, I will pay off that much debt, and then I will go to the bank, and I will, show the banker, hey, I effectively paid back all of my debt. I paid back a large amount of debt, and I'm still holding on to assets. I still have these cattle, and et cetera, right? I will present my balance sheet and my cash flow, and I will show the banker the money. And the big idea will be, when I sell the 19 animals, I will have 26 animals left. I will clear out my debt, and then I will re-leverage myself. All right, I will take new loans. I will go to the bank, and I will show them what I did. I took the money from the animals, and I paid back my debt. And then now I'm in the situation where I effectively have 26 cattle, and I paid back practically everything that I owed you. So lend me more money. All right, that's going to be the big idea. Lend me more money, and I will re-leverage myself. And the big idea for me right now, the big loans that I want to take is, number one, I will go and take a look at the new piece of land tomorrow, okay? I will go take a look at the new piece of land tomorrow. I was going to do it today, but the thing is that I have an animal that I thought was a heifer, but he's not a heifer. I was taking a look at him yesterday, and I was like, oh wait, he's still got the man parts. And so I got him caught, and I brought him here today. I'm gonna take him to the vet to get him steered tomorrow, and then I'm gonna get him a second shot of Covexin 8, and I will take him back over to the lease property. And when I take him back over to the lease property, I will go and take a look at the new field. All right, I'll go take a look at the new field. And so the big loans that I want to take right now are effectively to buy more cattle and to buy more land. All right, that's going to be the big loans that I want to take. And so I will present my deal to the banker, right? Give me a loan to buy more land. You can hold what I have for collateral, whatever you want to do. You can hold what I have for collateral, and then you can leverage my income for the rest of it. And then just give me my loan for the land. And I'm also looking to take a loan for cattle. And so the big idea will be when I do that. Okay, so I have 45 cattle. Within the next 3 weeks, I will sell 19 of them. And when I sell 19 of them, I will effectively have enough money, I will have money for those 19 animals, and I will have 26 cattle left over, okay? I will have 26 cattle left over, and I will have sold the 19 animals and made my money on the 19 animals. And so the big idea is when I do that and I take a loan to buy more land and I take a loan to buy more cattle, I will have 26 cattle at home. The 26 cattle that I have will have gone up in value, right? These are effectively going to be the 26 animals that I have left over. The animals that I have on this field right now, I have 30 animals on the field right now, and I'm going to sell 4 of them, right? So that leaves me with 26 animals. These are the 26 animals that will be left on my balance sheet, right? These 26 animals have been on my property for maybe 2 or 3 months. They've all gone up in value. I take care of my animals very well, all right? I put a lot of emphasis on this. When you take a look at what I'm doing, I effectively have some of the best results that you could ever imagine. All right, when you take a look at the way that I run my cattle, I effectively have some of the best results that you could ever imagine. All right, I take a lot of time and a lot of effort into raising these animals and taking care of these animals properly, and I raise them to a commercial standard, right? And so I take these animals, I have them on my balance sheet. I have these 26 animals on my balance sheet. I've had them for, okay, here's the thing. These animals, I probably had them here for 2 months, 3 months. And during that 2 or 3 months, for all 45 of my animals, my business has probably cost me, not even $3,000. And it's been like 3 months, okay? Maybe I put $1,000 a month into my business. Maybe. All right, maybe it's like $1,200. I was saying $1,200, right? I put about $1,200 into my business a month. All right, and I do very well for myself. All right, I make a large amount of money. All right, it just is what it is. Okay, the whole thing about the situation. Okay, so what am I going to do, right? So I have 45 animals. I'll sell 19 of them. I will take that money and I will pay the bank back their debt. I will pay back my loans to the bank. That will leave me the 26 animals that I have on my field. And I will leverage against the number of animals that I have, but I will not leverage against the unappraised, or I will not leverage against the appreciation value of the animals. And so, you know, I will not leverage against the unrealized gain. I will only leverage against the number of animals that I have. And so what that's going to look like is that within about 3 weeks, what will happen is that I will take the money, I will pay the bank back, I will have 26 animals left over. I'm looking to get a loan for more cattle, and I'm looking to get a loan to buy more land. And when I get that, you know, which I will get, all right, I'm not going to get, it's not a large amount of money. It's like 600 grand, okay? You know, maybe 650 grand. 650,000 is not $650,000 in terms of real estate is not a lot of money. Okay, $650,000 in terms of real estate, you have to understand that you can purchase real estate on like a 30-year term. Okay, if I go and I buy $650,000 worth of real estate right now, it will cost me like $3,000 a month, like $3,000. Okay, you know, it's not a lot. All right, $650,000 worth of real estate is not a lot of money. It's a very small amount of money. And so, you know, I will get the loan, okay? And I'm not worried about that, okay? I'm not worried about that. It's not a lot of money. I will get the loan, okay? And so granted that I like the property, I'm going to go and take a look at the property tomorrow morning. And if I like the property, I will take the loan and I will buy the land. I will have my 26 animals, and then I will take a loan for 26 animals because I have 26 animals at home. And when I do that, I will have 52 animals, and these 26 animals will probably be going to market by the middle of June. So within 2 months after I take my loans, these animals will be going to market. And when these animals go to market in June, right now it is about the 3rd week of April. When these animals go to market in the middle of June, that will effectively be 3 months. They will weigh about 700 on the average, okay? They'll weigh about 700 on the average. I still have a lot of grass. My lease property is covered in grass, I can just put the animals out on the grass, and I will, and when I sell the 26 animals, I will probably make enough money to buy 52, okay? I'll probably make enough money to buy 52, and instead of buying 52, I can buy whatever, right? I have a loan against 10 of these animals right now. And so, whatever, I take a loan for 16 more, whatever it may be, I'll figure it out, I'll have these animals on my balance sheet. I'll have 26 animals left on my balance sheet. I'll take the money that I made from selling the 19 animals, and I will pay the bank back my debt. I will pay my debts off. That will leave 26 animals on my balance sheet. I will leverage against the 26 animals in terms of just the number of animals that I have. Okay, I'm not going to leverage against the unrealized gains. I'm not going to leverage against the unrealized gains, right? But, I talk about leveraging against an unrealized gain is when you take a look at your balance sheet and you appraise your assets, right? I brought in these assets. I brought in these cattle at 275 pounds. When I brought them in at 275 pounds, I paid about $1,000 on the average. Right now, I would anticipate that these animals weigh 550. A vast majority of my animals are number 1 to 1.5 type medium large frame animals. And, a mix of heifers and steers. And when I take a look at it for what it is, I would say that these 550-pound animals are worth XYZ amount of money, right? And if they're worth an XYZ amount of money, I take the money that I put into the animals and I subtract that number, and then I get my appraisal value for the unrealized gain. And that's just the money that I've made, but I haven't paid myself yet, right? That's the whole thing. I haven't paid myself the money yet, but I have made the money, right? I'm not going to leverage against the unrealized gain. I will only leverage against the number of animals that I have. And so that will effectively put me in a situation where I can buy 26 more animals within maybe about 2 months. I can buy 26 more animals within about 3 weeks, and then within about 3 months, I will be selling these 26 animals. These 26 animals have already been on this farm for maybe 2 or 3 months. And, I'll effectively have ran these animals for about 5 or 6 months. And in those 5 or 6 months, I'll effectively have taken these animals from about 275 up to about 650, 700. I'll make a large amount of money. And when I do that, I sell the 26 animals. I'll probably make enough money to buy 48, 45. And if I want to leverage against my earnings, then instead of buying 45 animals, I could buy 90, right? And if I buy 90, then, you know, that's the whole situation. You know, if I buy, okay, you know, the whole idea of leverage and, you know, leveraging against my balance sheet and, you know, the amount of leverage that I'm looking to take and why am I going to take leverage, right? Because if I sell 45, let's say I sell 26 animals and I make enough money to buy 45, all 45 of those animals belong to me, right? All of those animals belong to me. I sold my 19 animals, and because I sold my 19, I sold 26 animals, right? And because I sold those 26 animals, I now have enough money to buy 45. Right? That's the big idea, right? And so when I go and I buy the 45 animals, that's all my money. Right? But instead of buying 45 animals, if I buy 90, if I go to the bank and I take a loan for 45 more and I buy 90, then I effectively have 45 animals that belong to me and I have 45 animals that belong to the bank. But I also have 26 animals at home that are stabilized and will probably be profitable for whatever, 3 or 4 months. I can keep them for, you know, I can keep them profitable for, you know, effectively until they hit 850 pounds, right? So my business is being stabilized by the other animals, the animals that I am not having to purchase, right? I have 26 animals at home. Those 26 animals are probably going to weigh whatever, 450, 500 on the average. I'll probably continue to make a profit on them for 3 or 4 months. That profit and those 26 animals that I have at home will be what stabilize my business. And when you think about it, if I have 26 animals at home and I take a loan to buy 45 more, and I have enough money to buy 45 from me selling my 26 animals, then you know, when you add it all up, you know, what is that? 45 plus 26 is what is that? Is 71, right? So I would have 71 animals that I personally own, and then I would owe the bank 45 animals, right? And that's not bad. All right, if I own 71 animals and I go to the bank and I take a loan for 45 more, and the 26 animals that I already have at home are stable, right? I've already stabilized them, given them all their vaccinations, got them preconditioned, etc., got them all squared away, and you know, I've already made a profit on them, right? They're already in the net profit. You know, I'm already making money on them, right? If I sold them, I would make money. I would make a net profit, right? And so in this situation, the 26 animals that I have at home will have already gone up in value, will probably stably produce me a profit over the next 3 months or so. And then the 26 animals that I sell will make me enough money to buy 45. And if I don't buy 45, but I take a loan for 45 more, and in all honesty, I would also want to take a loan for the 26 animals that I have at home, because if I take a loan for the 26 animals that I have at home, then I would effectively now be in a situation where I personally own 71 animals, and I owe the bank 71 animals, and that would be the one-to-one leverage. But when I take a look at it, right, the 26 animals that I have at home have already gone up in value. So I will not leverage against the unrealized gain. And that will be what keeps my balance sheet under a one-to-one leverage. All right. You know, that's the big idea. You know, I will utilize the unrealized gain as a safety buffer for my business. All right. You know, and that will, you know, so technically I will be under a one-to-one leverage, and a one-to-one leverage is effectively maximum leverage for me. I don't go over one-to-one leverage, because you know I don't want to be like in a negative balance sheet situation. Okay, I don't go over one-to-one leverage. But if I have 71 animals, if I own 71 animals and I owe the bank 71 animals, then I have 142 animals, and whatever, right? 71 of the 26 out of the 71 animals are stable and producing me a profit for 3 or 4 months. And that profit margin, and they've already produced me a profit, right? That's the big idea. That's the whole thing about stabilizing the animals, that it takes about 2 months, and during that 2 months they go up in value, and so they produce me money. And so that unrealized gain will be what keeps my balance sheet under a one-to-one leverage, and it will provide me a safety margin to not put my balance sheet in the negative. And then I can effectively just, that's the whole idea, right? Within about the next 2 or 3 months, I would actually anticipate that, I buy somewhere around 120 and 140 cattle. All right, this business makes me a large amount of money. All right, I make a large amount of money in the cattle business. If we take a look at it for what it is, here in about 3 weeks, You know, here in about 3 weeks, I'll be selling 19 animals, and when I sell those 19 animals, you know, I'll make a large, I'll make a lot of money. Okay, I'll make a lot of money, and then the rest of these animals can go to market here in 2 months. And I'll do very well for myself. And the big idea is that I will just take that money and I will pay back the bank. I will pay the bank back, and that will leave 26 animals on my balance sheet. And then I can re-leverage myself. And when I re-leverage myself, I can leverage against the 26 animals that I have. I won't leverage against the unrealized gain. I will just leverage against the 26 animals. And then within about 2 months, I can stabilize the new animals. I can liquidate these animals, and then when I liquidate these animals, I will make money, and I will have 26 animals that are stabilized. The 26 animals that are stabilized will produce me a return, a stable return for about 3 or 4 months. That will be the safety margin for my business, and then I can leverage against every animal that I have, but I will not leverage against the unrealized gain. All right, and that will effectively put me in a situation where in about 3 months, I will have a loan for a new piece of land. I will have about 120 and 140 cattle, and I won't even be leveraged 1-for-1. All right, that's effectively what's going to happen. Okay, that's the direction that I'm going. I'm taking a look at everything that I'm doing, and I did very well for myself. And that's the big idea. Okay, that's what I've decided. I've taken a look at everything, and I've already decided that I will put all the money back into my business. Okay. And when you take a look at it, I mean, this thing, I did very well for myself, and I just wanted to take a moment to, because okay, over the next 2 or 3 months, right now I'm making a large amount of money, right? I make a large amount of money. I probably do something around $25,000 a month. And, over the next 3 or 4 weeks, my income is going to skyrocket. Okay. My income will skyrocket. I may even increase my income by like 250%. All right. I may, and here's the thing, and I talk about this all the time. When you take a look at a business, the whole idea of a business is that, and I'm not, okay. And the thing about me is that, I'm not asking any, I definitely don't want your money. Okay. Nobody's paying me to do anything. All right. Trust me. Nobody has enough money to pay me to do anything. All right. If I legitimately felt like I needed more money, I would just run more cattle. I would just farm more land. Nobody's paying me to do anything. Okay. I don't know, don't be an idiot. Okay. Nobody's paying me to do anything. I'm not asking for you to invest in my business. If anything, just keep your BS to yourself and die with your deal. Okay. I don't care. But when it comes to investing, all right, when it comes to investing, if the whole thing about this whole thing is that the whole thing about investing is when you find a business, and I've already said that a majority of businesses are not good businesses. Okay. Majority of businesses are barely scraping to get by. They barely make enough for the owner to even make a living, or they're just failing. A majority of businesses are. It is very rare to find a business that is doing well. And how do you know when a business is doing well? The amount of money that the business makes has been going up and is going up in the future. That's how you know. All right, when you take a look at the business, the amount of money that the business is making has been going up, and the amount of money that the business will make in the future is going to go up. That's how you know, okay? And if you can buy the business, if you can buy an equity stake in that business at a reasonable multiple, whatever the reasonable multiple may be, because if you have a business that has been producing significantly more income for the last 3 years, okay, like and if you have a business that has been producing more income for the last 3 or 4 years, and you have the opportunity to talk to the owner of the business, of said business, and the owner of said business has a very realistic idea for how they are going to improve the business, right? You talk to the owner, and then you realize this person legitimately is like a very, 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 solid individual, and they are actually going to do better. Right, you actually had the opportunity to take a look at the owner of the business, and you have determined that the owner of the business is a very, very, very just solid person. Like, all right, this person, I've talked to this person, and I've communicated with this person, and I understand that this person is going to do better in the future. And and when you take a look at that situation, that business will have a higher multiple. But here's the thing is that, and when I take a look at it, and I'm not bragging about this, okay, I'm not bragging about it. I will there is a possibility, or I'm not going to say probably, I'm not going to say I will probably, there is a possibility that I end up outperforming myself. And if I outperform myself, that means I will do better than I expected. And when you have a situation like that, even if you pay whatever 20 times multiple for the earnings today, if the business outperforms itself, if the owner of the business outperforms themselves, then you can actually make an exponential return by investing in that business. All right. That's how you make money investing into businesses. If you go on the stock market and you take a look at companies, and you take a look at them one by one, and you take a look at their revenue, and you take a look at their net profit margins, and you take a look at, you take a look at the person who's running the thing, and the person who's running the thing has a legitimate idea for making the business do better. The business is already profitable, and et cetera, et cetera. The revenue of the business has been going up for several years. Then that's how you make money investing in a company, okay? And you can buy an equity stake in the company, and which I'm not, I'm not going, I don't care, okay? I'm not saying this to be whatever about it. I'm legitimately saying nobody's paying me to do anything. Nobody's buying a portion of my company. I don't need money from anybody. All right, I don't know how else to put this. I don't need money from anybody. Nobody's buying a portion of my company. I'm not, I don't want money from anybody. Okay. Trust me. I don't care. All right. All of the money, if I need money, I'll just farm more land. All right. I don't, trust me. It doesn't matter to me. Okay. If I legitimately need more money, I'll just farm more land. All right. Nobody's paying me to do anything. I already have plenty of money. I make plenty of money. Okay. Because okay, on a 10.5 acre field, I made about $20,000 a month on a 10.5 acre field. Okay, here in about 3 weeks, I'll be selling 19 animals. All right, I'll be selling 19 animals, and those animals will probably hit the scale at about 700. And I brought in a vast majority of those animals at about 250. All right, and I'll still have 26 animals left over, okay? And, I'll just go to the bank. I'll take a loan to buy more land. I will take a loan to buy, I'll re-leverage myself. And when I buy more land and, I still have 26 animals on my balance sheet, I'll leverage against the 26 animals that I have. And when I do that, and when I sell the 26 animals in 2 months, and I leverage against the number of animals that I have, I'll effectively be buying somewhere around 120 and 140 cattle in the next 3 months. Okay. And by the end of the year, I would anticipate that I run something like 250 cattle this year. Okay. So, maybe a little bit more. All right. And, I do very well for myself. When you take a look at what I'm doing, I effectively have some of the best results that you could ever imagine. All right. I have some of the best results in the world. All right. When you take a look at the quality of my cattle, when you take a look at my cattle, when you take a look at my grass, when you take a look at how I run the business and how much money my business makes, I have some of the best results known to mankind. All right. I do. All right. And I've always said that this is not an opinion from me, because the whole thing is that, either you can or you can't. And I know that this is going to sound harsh or whatever, but I mean, I don't know how, it is what it is. Either you can or you can't. And if you can't, then you can't. I don't know how else to tell you this. I mean, nobody cares about your opinion. All right. If you can, then you can. Go and start, because when I talk about this whole idea of starting a cattle farm on a 10.5 acre field and making $20,000 a month, I can do it, right? I actually do it in real life. Right, I actually do it, right, and I can do it as many times as I feel like it. I can whatever, right? I can start these businesses whenever I feel like it, right? And it's not an opinion, right? I'm not having some opinion, right? I'm telling you the truth, right? Because either you can or you can't, and if you can't, nobody cares. I'm serious, and I've talked about this, it's like, oh my God, well, I thought, and I had this opinion, and I thought, and nobody cares. All right. Either you can or you can't. I tell you exactly how I do it. This is how I grow my grass. This is the type of cattle that I buy. This is the metrics that I utilize for feeding the animals. This is how I run my business. When I purchase these assets, this is how I, budget for my assets, right? I tell you how I do all of these things, and I'm not giving you my opinion, right? I'm not giving you my opinion, right? That's the whole thing about it, is that either you can or you can't. And if you can't, then you can't. All right. And, and I'm not saying, but I mean, the thing about stuff like this is that, anybody can learn how to do something like this. It will just take a long time. Anybody can. You can learn how to do this. Nobody was born to do something like this. All right. I don't know how, don't be an idiot. You were not born to be a farmer. You were born average. All right. Everybody is born average. Okay. Unless you actually go out and learn how to do something, you're going to be average. And there's a very real possibility that you go below average if you don't learn how to do anything. All right, you can learn how to do something like this. You can. Everybody can. It will take a long time, and it will take a lot of commitment. All right, and when I take a look at what I'm doing, I don't even know anybody even doing 10%. Okay, I don't know anybody doing 10%. I do very well for myself. Okay, when I take a look at my balance sheet right now, when I just roll forward with my business, not even take maximum leverage, I won't even be leveraged 1-for-1 on my balance sheet. I'll still have to purchase about 120 to 140 cattle in the next 3 months. All right, in the next 3 months, I'll have to purchase about 120 to 140 cattle, and I won't be leveraged even 1-for-1. All right, but that's the thing, is that either you can or you can't. And if you can't, and I've said this, if you have a bunch of opinions, but you're kind of a bum, nobody cares, and you're an idiot. All right. The thing about it is that, and you don't want to come off as an idiot. All right. You don't want to come off as an idiot. Oh, well, I fell out of heaven at 7 and my life's a journey, and, I'm going to go on a magical adventure, and, I was born, whatever, and nobody cares. All right. You're going to die poor. Have fun with that. All right. How about, I read a book today, and I collected information. My animal is showing symptoms of a very, atypical disease. I have not seen this disease before. When I take a look at the medication regimen that I have had my animal on, I gave him a shot of Zactran. He's had 2 doses he's had 1 dose of an intranasal vaccination for BRD, which also included a Manhemia and a Pastorella, vaccination. And I gave him a 1-shot Bovishield Gold, and I gave him 2 shots of Covaxin 8. And my animal is showing signs of a strange disease, right? So I went on the internet and I looked up published papers, and I collected as much information as I can, right? My business is making this much money as of today, and I will take that money and I will reinvest it into these assets. And when I reinvest it into these assets, I will also take a leverage for this amount of money, right? You're gonna have to, nobody cares about I fell out of heaven at 7 and my life's a magical journey. All right, I'm taking a look at my balance sheet. My balance sheet, it looks like this. So, I'm taking when I take a look at the appraisal value of my animals, I'm in the net positive, but I will not leverage against the unrealized gain of my animals. I will leverage against the number of animals that I have, because if I do that, then I will be under a 1-to-1 leverage, because the animals that I have on my balance sheet have gone up in value. Right? The animals on my balance sheet have gone up in value. I've already raised these animals for about 2 or 3 months. I brought in a majority of these animals at 275 pounds. They probably weigh 4 1/4, 425. They've had multiple rounds of vaccinations. They're stabilized, and they will probably continue to be profitable until they're 750, 850 pounds. And during that time period, from when they are going from 450 to 750 pounds, I will leverage against the number of animals that I have. And the reason that I will do that is because the number of the animals that I have right now are stable, and they will continue to be profitable, and they've already produced me a profit. And that profit that I have not paid myself yet will be the safety margin for my business. And when I leverage against the number of animals that I have, I can expand my balance sheet, and I won't even be at a 1-to-1 leverage. I will be under a 1-to-1 leverage. That's the kind of stuff, you know, like that's the kind of stuff that I'm doing. All right, that's what I'm doing in real life. And, you know, the thing about me is that it's not an opinion, right? You know, I effectively outperformed the entire U.S. economy. When you take, you know, this is not an opinion, right? I'm not giving you my opinion. I'm telling you the truth. I effectively outperformed the entire U.S. economy, and I'm telling you how I did it. I purchased assets, tax deductible, appraisal value, raised them to this commercial standard. You know, this is how I, you know, whatever, right? And then I leverage against my balance sheet for the number of animals that I have, but I do not leverage against the leverage against the unrealized gain. I don't leverage against the unrealized gain. And if I leverage against just the number of animals that I have, and I don't touch the unrealized gain, that's a safety margin, and that will always keep my my balance sheet under a 1-to-1. Granted that I don't have like some cataclysmic event, like I don't know, a tornado hits my farm, all right, and kills 75% of my animals. Okay, you know, granted that something like that doesn't happen, you know, then you know, my balance sheet will always be less than 1-to-1 leverage. All right, it's very simple. It's not complicated. You know. The business, you know, farming doesn't cost me anything, right? You know, I talk about this all the time, and I put a lot of emphasis on this idea because it is very important. All right, you know, the most important thing to do is to learn how to actually do it. All right, you're gonna have to spend a lot of time learning how to farm. You know, the money is irrelevant. You know, my farm costs me about $1,000 a month, and it makes me about a $25,000-$30,000 back. Okay, the money that it takes to farm does not matter. I will probably, okay, and here's the thing. When I buy my new piece of land, that new piece of land will cost me about $2,500 a month. It'll cost me about $2,500 a month, but I would not be surprised if that piece of land makes me over $50,000 a month. The land will cost me $2,500, and fertilizing the land will probably cost me another $2,000. You know, not $2,000 a month. That'd be ridiculous. It maybe cost me $1,500 a month. So it'll cost me $3,500 a month, and I will make over $50,000 a month with that money. I would be willing to bet I will make over $50,000 a month, and it will cost me like $3,500, $4,000 a month. All right, the amount of money that it costs to farm is irrelevant. Learning how to farm is the hard part. All right, learning how to grow grass, learning how to run a business, learning how to, you know, raise cattle, that's the hard part. That's the stuff that's going to take a long time. All right, and when you take a look at what I'm doing, I effectively outperformed the entire U.S. economy. It wasn't even close. All right, it wasn't even close. All right, and I'm a very realistic opportunity for you to take a look at what this looks like. All right, you know, you're not going to get very many opportunities to see somebody who legitimately does better than effectively everybody in the entire economy in terms of money. You'll rarely ever see it. I actually don't know anybody even doing 10%. All right, and I'm telling you exactly how I do it. All right, and I'm showing you, this is not an opinion, right? I'm not giving you my opinion. I'm telling you the truth. This is how I run my business. This is how I grow my grass. These are the kind of animals that I buy. This is how I raise my animals. This is the medication that I use. This is how I find my information. I'm telling it to you I'm telling you everything, right? And I'm not asking for you to pay me. If anything, trust me, your money's not going to do anything for me. It doesn't matter to me, okay? You know, nobody's paying me to do anything. If I legitimately felt like I needed more money, I would just buy more cattle and run more land. I would just farm more land. All right, you know, nobody's paying me to do anything. Ever, forever. Don't kid yourself. All right, nobody's paying me to do anything. I make plenty of money, okay? I mean, you know, it just is what it is, all right? You know, and that's it for me today, YouTube. Y'all have a good one.